let's just start. We'll just spitball the intro, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Because I got to address an audience, right?
Yeah.
It's fucking weird.
Just address our friends.
Address our friend. All right. How's it going, everybody? This is the first episode of What's the Haps podcast with my guest, the one and only, LeBron Kames.
Woohoo! Hey, guys.
And
Welcome.
I guess I'm Luca, right? I reckon so.
Luca?
I think so, yeah. All right, well, so this is episode 1. The whole point is just to fucking yap about whatever. So, Kames,
Yeah.
what's going on? What's on your mind?
It's on
Yeah.
our favorite topic. We love talking about dating apps, and we seem to have very different mindsets when it comes to dating.
You think so? I guess to a degree. Yeah. Okay. So like what do you mean? Like
Okay. I feel like I'm very idealistic. I'm
Okay.
very romantic. I'm very like like oh my god, everything is gonna work out. And I feel like you have a more pessimistic view where you're like, don't trust anyone. Would you agree with that?
Don't trust anyone. Okay.
Mhm.
Well,
Mm.
you're already a heavy hitter right off the bat. What the fuck?
We're here for the news.
So I don't think it's like well, okay, well, I think it depends how you look at it, right?
Okay.
Because I feel like I'm an idiot, okay? So when I'm like interested in somebody,
Mhm.
I do like the scrub classic, you know, just kind of like, what is it called? When you are thinking of the idea of somebody more so than the actual
Like
person. Yeah,
infatuation.
exactly. So like
Okay.
once I'm like in the paint,
Yeah.
I kind of like I get a little lost, but I think once I'm removed from the paint, then yeah, I'm a little bit more pessimistic. I'm like, fuck everybody, you know?
When you're out of it, as in like after, or like when you're not crushing anyone. What do you mean when you're out of the paint?
Like just when I'm not interested in anybody and not dating around and just
Mhm.
not like, you know, just like living the single life, you know,
Yeah.
not on apps, not meeting anybody, just
Mhm.
like, because then you get a lot of time to yourself, which is, you know, it's not the greatest, but
It's time by yourself. I feel that time by I'm allergic to my house. I'm always outside. I'm always with my friends. Time alone, and you're alone with your thoughts is interesting.
I mean, like, I'm not even, you know, some sort of like, you know, hermit. I wouldn't really say I'm inside a lot all the time either, but,
Mm.
and I'm definitely going out with friends. It just happens to be, how do I put, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think I go out, but I just, like, I get jaded when I'm not talking with somebody,
Okay.
like, you know, romantically
Mhm.
that I'm interested in, right?
It's like one of those things where you're like, oh, I would never do that. Like, ew, like, why can't you guys just think logically? But then as soon as you're in it, you're like, oh my god, like, ah, is that kind of feeling?
Wait, so what was the first part? Like, what, like,
Like, when you're. I am that type of person too. Like, when it comes to other friends coming to me for advice, I'm always very real and direct and like, oh, like, girl, like, he doesn't deserve you, break up with him. Like, I'm very like, do.
okay.
But then when I'm in it, I'm like, but guys, like.
No, yeah, for sure. I've definitely told people advice where I'm like, fuck. I'm just like him for real. You know, it's like you see the down bad friend and you're like, bro, just pick yourself up. And you're
Come
like, wait a second,
on.
I should be telling this shit to myself.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, like, it's also just, I don't know, it's also like different just because
Mhm.
even, it's just like so, I don't even know how you put it, but sometimes, you know, my friends would even try to like hype me out.
Mhm.
But I feel like that's like the time where I start to like almost like double down, if that makes sense, right? Where some people are like, hey man, like let's just go to a bar, like just keep it casual, and you know, you never know who you could find, like don't expect anything, but like, oh, like I could help introduce you or something, or like, and I'm like, nah, like dude, fuck you, dude, like we're not going
I'm
anywhere.
not about that life.
We're not going anywhere, you
Yeah.
know? So
It seems like you're the same way when we compliment you, where it's like, you're like, no, I suck. We're like, Luca, you're great.
listen,
Like, you're so sick. And then you're like, no, you know what, guys? Actually, I'm an asshole and a failure, and I.
you know, we really just paint
You
paint quite the picture for the folks at home. You know, it's like
They know you.
this is episode 1. I mean, well, I guess yeah, episode 1 would only be friends and family, right? But
Mhm.
no, I get what you mean though. I do get what you mean. Where it's just like it's just too easy for me to like discredit everything and just go against everything. Just, you know, to stick with good old pride. Don't they say pride is the leader of the 7 sins?
Mm.
I heard that somewhere, I think. Jamie, pull it up.
Okay, Jamie, clip that.
All right, new drinking game. And every time one of us says Jamie, take a drink. So, no, but I get what you mean. So, Kames, so you led me to believe that there's kind of a cute little pumpkin in the picture. Is that true? Is that?
There is there a situation? Maybe, but totally unrelated.
Okay.
Well, okay, kind of related, but not completely. We were talking earlier. We had a very interesting conversation earlier about. Do you think, it's possible to stay friends with someone that you dated, or is your ex, or someone you had feelings for? Like, what do you think is the boundary between like, oh, I can stay friends with someone, versus I can't?
Right. I think, well, so for starters, like, listen, this might be more old school to certain other people, but I think, like, if there's been an intimate boundary cross, and obviously this is coming from somebody who, like, hasn't been around the block. So a lot of this is, like, kind of assumption, but
Yeah.
it's just, I think, like, if you cross that boundary, right, it's like, well, clearly there's, like, some connection there, right? And I think, like, it could even be something simple as, like, kissing, right? So if that boundary's been crossed, it's like, I don't see how you could really be friends without, like, having some sort of risk, right? Because I think you always have to assume, like, what happens if you do get married in the future, right? It's like, now your spouse has to worry about somebody who's in your life that you were known to be romantic with. Like, that's
Everyone has exes. Like, most people have exes, though.
no, of course, but I guess,
oh,
like,
like if they're still in your life.
yeah, like, yeah, so
I see.
yeah, so it's like, which I guess part of the answer is, like, I don't think you could really be friends with your ex, like, safely, because, yeah, like, if, like, how would I feel if I had to tell my wife that I'm still friends with my ex, right?
I think it depends.
How so? You know
Okay,
what?
you want to know what I think?
Take the baton.
Okay. In my experience, I have only been in a couple, like, relationships.
Okay.
If you could even call them relationships, but both times have ended on pretty good terms, and both times, like, we were friends after. But it's funny but it wasn't like we were as close as we were before. Like, we weren't talking as much as we were. Yeah, like, for my first ex, we were long distance, and so we were different states. I didn't see him that often, and we would call maybe every once in a while just to catch up, like, how are you doing? And then it's funny that with both people, like, over the years, like, you just kind of lose contact. It's so I think it depends what kind of friends. Like I've had the experience where it's like I've had ended on good terms, so I understand, like, if someone is still friends with their ex, like, but I've never experienced a partner having those relationships, so, but it also depends how close they are to it. There's a lot of nuances here.
No, of course.
Where it's like, like, but for me, like, if I've seen them interact and, like, I can trust, like, oh, like, there's no, because I, like, don't have any interest in my exes anymore, so I wouldn't feel uncomfortable being friends with them, because it's like, oh, like, we ended well, like, we're on good terms, we're friends, like, and it's not like we're besties or anything, but we had time apart to process, and now we're, like, in a good spot, we're chill, we have mutual friends, like, we're fine. I think that is not, like, maybe it's like if they're best friends with their ex, that's something, but if I meet them and it's like I know that there's nothing there, they're just like another friend to them, for me it's like, okay, like, I have a lot of guy friends. I can't fault anyone else for having
No, of course.
friends that are girls.
Yeah, but I guess the main thing is, like, where do you draw the line? Because you said, like, okay, so best friends isn't cool, but friend is cool, right? So it's like, where, like, that line teeters. Like, what if they're in, like, the main friend group?
That's
it's like
fine.
something like in between, or like second best friend. You know what I'm
Second
saying? Like, third best friend.
I think even best friend would be okay with me, as long as I can't even speak from experience. I've never experienced, like, a partner. I've experienced partners having a girl best friend, but not ones that they've dated. I don't know how would if I try to think now, how would I feel?
Yeah, no, that's the thing, because like, yeah, I mean, obviously I think there's nothing wrong with having like, you know, a friend that's of the opposite sex, right? But it's like, yeah, it usually gets trickier with these situations where there was something there, right? Because now
Yeah.
it's like, as somebody who wasn't there during that time for obvious reasons, you kind of have to like, I get to some degree, I kind of like maybe guess like where things are now, because like sure that people might tell you certain things, but like I don't know if you're all going out and they start like exchanging glances or still have like some in
What?
jokes or something. Okay, well I'm like
Yeah, yeah.
obviously like I'm giving like worst case scenario type shit, but like
Yeah.
like again it's something as simple as that. Like what if they like say some sort of in joke that like the
Inside
two
jokes
of
are
them
fun. Friends
knew.
have inside jokes.
Yeah, but it's like listen, maybe I'm insecure, right? But
Mm-hmm.
that would get me feeling type of way, right? I'd be
Okay.
like, listen, you're out here like that's my lady. I don't know, you know what I'm saying? I might be a little bit
Your
too
ladies love to
protective of
joke
her.
around with other people.
No, of course, but
Yeah.
like maybe not somebody who she used to date.
If they're still friends, I don't know. I
Like if she, like I said, if it was just like
Yeah.
some friend that was a friend, I'd be like, oh, hey man, that's a pretty good joke. But like,
You're like, what the fuck did you just say to my girl?
yeah, but if it
You
was
made
an
her laugh.
if it was an ex-boyfriend, I'd be like,
Bro.
bro, watch yourself, bro.
That's not okay.
And then we go band for band. And
You
then
guys both bring bands up in the back with instruments too.
oh, boo, that's a dad joke. No.
Okay. Next. So, okay. Do you think like any so like how close like where is the boundary for you then? Like okay, this is okay to be friends and this like how close like is there it's hard to define the line, but where would you say like that boundary is for you?
It's a good question. So I think I alluded to half of my answer before. I think for one, like I said, I think the physical thing. I don't think I'd really be comfortable knowing that people that were physical with my, future partner are still in the picture. I think that'd leave me a little bit uncomfortable. Then also I think that and like the flip side of that is people that were maybe too emotionally invested. Like
Yeah.
even if it was, somebody who had like who was like super crushing on her or something, or maybe even it was like a mutual crush kind of thing. And then like nothing happened from it, but if they like eventually talk that out, like I know the other perspective is like, oh yeah, people like have crushes and they fade and then you're able to be friends afterwards.
Yeah.
But like I would just be too skeptical. I'd be like, what what would it take for this to like respark almost. Like I'm thinking like I'm one argument, like one marriage argument away from like bro coming in with like a cheeky joke or something, right? Like
Stealing your girl with that joke.
listen, all I'm saying is like there's a lot of turbulence in marriage from what I've heard. I'm not fucking
You've
married.
been married before?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Where's the,
Yeah,
where's the
okay,
ring?
wise guy. Yeah, I've been fucking. No, I haven't been fucking married. Okay, I'm saying like from what people say and just like I mean, listen, we've been in relationships. Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Wait, I have? Yeah. I have.
I'd like to assume so.
Yeah.
But it's like that shit comes up. So it's like in times of turbulence, I think it's easier, not easy, but easier for people to waver. And sure, like obviously it goes deeper. It's like, oh, what does it say about the person altogether? And it's like, was it really meant to be from the start? Yada yada yada. All I'm saying is like, I don't want these people around that like could like have like leave lingering wavering feelings, because like maybe they say that they are secure that they won't be with this person again, but I mean like I said, I know it's just like one analogy, but it's like I really do feel like it just takes one kind of like argumentative time in a relationship for people to really like second guess themselves even, so other than if these people are still around, it's like I don't know, it's just a big risk in my opinion. So
Interesting. Yeah. For me, I'm like processing that.
yeah.
I understand what you mean in terms of like I think it's a lot about trust. It's a lot about building your foundation with your partner and communicating your feelings and your boundaries. This makes me comfortable. This makes me uncomfortable. It's always like a tricky line where it's like, okay, at what point am I being like too insecure and or controlling, and at what point am I allowed to assert my boundaries? And it's like, I think that's something you both have to decide as a couple.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think trust is a big part of it. I have a lot of friends that are guys, and like I would hate if my partner tried to, for example, if we were doing this podcast, or if I was with Loretto or with Sanford or with anyone, right?
Shout out
To our friends. Like, if they felt weird about that, like, I would feel weird, because I'm like, whoa, like, I've known these people for years. These are my buds.
No,
and for someone to try, like, I would never feel, like, I would feel weird if someone tried to, like, it's okay to be insecure, but, like, if someone tried to, like, affect, like, oh, like, if you see us hang out, like, we're chill, like, and for someone, I don't know, I would feel, it's like a line where it's like, if someone was like, oh, you can't be friends with them anymore, that would be like, whoa, that's a red flag. Or if someone was like, I don't, like, it's like, until it happens, that's like, where's the line? I don't know.
Because, like, I mean, I agree with you. It's like, yeah, if like the friendship started under like a basis of friendship, like, I don't see anything wrong.
Yeah.
It's just like, one thing I've noticed is like you kind of have to assume the best in people, like, just to like live a sane life, I feel like. But I feel like it's just so easy to have a lot of distrust for people, right? Only because there are snakes, right? You do hear the horror stories of like, a friend of 12 years and then they like have an affair, right? It's like, there are horror stories all the time. So I think that's just where it's like tricky, where I think you need to be like super, as you mentioned before, like secure, and just like talk it out, be like, yeah, I think that's cool. So, but yeah.
How do you feel about long distance?
Ooh. Personally, okay. So what do you mean? Like, that's kind of a broad question. Like, where are we going with this?
I'm just like, it's just another question.
Just another question. All right. I guess general questions will have an answer.
Okay.
So, well, for one, I would say it fucking blows, right?
Yeah, it fucking sucks. Yeah.
Just because.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like, not being able to see them friggin' sucks, but then also, like, because then you go into, like, problem-solving mode of, like, okay, like, how can I meet this person, right? Or at least, I'll speak for myself here, right?
Yeah.
I think it just gets tricky, because then it becomes, it's like a crazy can of worms, because in the immediate, it's like, okay, how am I going to meet them? When am I going to meet them? How often does this, like, kind of have to be before we both agree that it's, like, not worth it? And then also, like, monetarily, I think that matters too. Just because if you're working, like, a day job, then you're spending, like, and then also just, like, mental stress. Because if you're spending, like, every other weekend traveling, like, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours just to, like, see somebody, it's, like...
Or flying.
Wait, what?
Or flying.
Or flying, which is even more taxing.
Yes.
I'm not going to lie. If there's only a plane that separates us, I'd probably have to clip it. I don't know. Do you feel the same?
No, keep going. If
Okay.
you have to drive 6
hours, then I feel like there was a bit there. I already lost it anyways.
Why was 6 afraid of 7?
Okay.
Because 7 lived abroad. Okay.
Anywho.
Next.
But like, what point being is just like, it's mentally taxing. It's wallet taxing.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's rough. I think the little hopeless romantic that still lives in me is like, oh, it's always worth a shot. But I think really early on, you kind of have to talk about where you're going to end up. Because if there's no like prospect for eventually being in the same spot, I think that's just like brutal. It's like, oh, like, so what's happening now after like 2 years? It's like, what do you mean what's happening now? It's like, New York, LA, friggin' France, who knows, right?
I think there has to be, for long distance to work, and I've been in a long distance relationship in college, and in order for it to work, there has to be a timeline of like, we plan to be in the same place at the same time. I think just in general, that's people in long distance, like, that seems to be the general idea. And yeah, I like how, like, I think you need a strong foundation. I think you need, yeah.
Would you do it again though? You know, it's like even with all these things that you say of like it could work out, would you do it again willingly?
Willingly. I think it's funny. I always said ideally, obviously, no one ever wants to do like. No one is like, I dream of being in a long distance relationship.
Maybe they do.
My
It's like
goal
I don't
in
have to
life-
see her. No way.
I'm a quality time girly. I like need that quality time.
Okay.
If it was like circumstantial and we had a great foundation and like time, honestly, year or years underneath our belt, and there was an end goal and we have like an aligned vision for our future, we plan to be in the same place and a certain time and a timeline to do all that, that's feasible. I would used to be like, oh, I don't want to do that again. But I think that if things aligned for the right person, I think I'd be like, I think I would be like,
do it again?
I would consider. I'm not saying I would.
Okay.
But I'm saying I would deeply consider all of these factors, and it depends how far they are too. Depends how far. Ideally, of course, nobody wants to. Nobody wants to.
Some people probably do.
Some.
You're discounting all the LDR lovers out there.
My bad to all the. I mean, no one. It's not ideal for anyone, but my bad to all the avoidant. Like, oh, I can't see her that often. But then do you really? I don't know. Like, quality time is a love language, and that's my love language. I think need it. So, I won't. That's a good question. I don't know. Like.
Got him.
I think. In the right circumstances and for the right person, I would like. But only if it's temporary. Like, for example, if it's gonna be like a few months. If it's less than a year, I think, yeah. If it's gonna be more, not yes, like, but like, I would consider it. More than a year, it would take a lot for me to be like, yeah.
Okay, so if they were gone for over a year.
Yeah.
Dang, but you still consider that's crazy. So you'd not see your partner for a year? Shoot.
I'm thinking back to my first relationship. I think we didn't see each other for like 6 months.
Okay.
And that was okay. But I think actually like longer than that, that's when I was like, I don't know if long distance I can do. It's hard. Like it's hard. Everyone knows it's hard. It's like you want to be with someone so bad and like want them next to you and to share food with them, to
right.
share like your friends with them. Like that's such a bonding experience, and to feel like you're missing out on that is hard and it's rough.
So you would do it. I mean, like, so you're telling me that if some like New York guy was like, Kames, I'm really feeling some, but shit, I gotta go to like Iowa for a year and a half.
Year and a half. Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Why would you willingly? Sorry to all my Iowans out there, but why would you willingly go to the land of the corn?
Listen, people got priorities. You.
I know. I'm just kidding. I'm just saying.
Okay, so now, wow. Well, so first you're dunking on all the LDR hot boys out there.
I'm dunking on them. I'm just saying I've been there, and I'm like, I wouldn't wish that upon anybody.
Now the Iowans.
I will stand my ground on the Iowans.
You called them a corn guys.
Yeah, you corn guys. Yeah, corny fellas. Iowa, a year and a half.
See, like the way you're
time.
flustered, like I think it just shows, like, yeah, like you said, nobody wants to be in it, but like you're down. Like fuck it, like yes, there's a humanistic approach to like meeting people and just kind of like
I'm saying
catching
if it
feelings.
Happens, it happens.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you like met I think we can talk about like if the perfect person was in front of you, what would it take for you to like not want to be with them?
For me to not want to be with them. So you're telling like the perfect person, right?
Your dream person.
So I'm guessing is this like a bait question? Are you trying to say like, oh man, if she lived in fucking Iowa, like that would be killer, bro? Like,
how about I throw the question back? Because okay, a year and a half is a long time. If there was an Iowa, an Iowa is
just
crazy.
stuck on this guy. This fucking Iowan dude is.
Iowa's crazy. But I'm thinking like if there were like a year and a half is a long time. But if they're like, okay, I'm moving back to New York in a year and a half. That's a long time, actually. I think a year might be my limit. If we could visit each other. Actually, how long have we been dating before that?
Too many moving parts, too many gears.
Too many. There's a lot.
I don't fucking know.
If we were dating for more than a year or two, and I'm like, oh, this is my person, this is it.
But I feel like that'd also be kind of interesting. Like well, then like you can't be caught off guard for that. Like that's why these things get too complex. Like once we start throwing in more like things, like more, you know, things to tweak.
Yeah.
Where it's like if you've been dating for 2 years, you're probably not gonna get caught off guard. You know, it's not like this dude out of nowhere is gonna be like, yup, going to Iowa, right? Like he probably talked about his Iowan sick mother or something that he might dream. What the? I don't know what
Iowan
that was.
dreams.
Maybe, but like you know, like whatever. Like he might mention some things that might, you know, you might be able to assume that he might have to go back to Iowa at some point. Like so I guess this is more so like a shorter term thing, like 2-3 months. Then like, you know, there wasn't enough time to flesh out his past and his roots in Iowa, and now he's like, shit, you know, like my grandma caught the flu or something, you know, and he's like, I gotta go back for a year and a half because she got the flu. What?
Okay. Locking in.
Don't make fun of this Iowa guy, right? Got his fucking back. I'm defending him with my fucking life right now.
I'm in the corn stalks. Okay. Okay. I think. Okay. Yeah.
So 3 months you ain't giving him a shot.
3 months I could. I think it really it if we're both fair play, we're both willing to give it a shot.
Okay.
I it's like never say never, because I was always like, oh, I'll never do long distance again. But then when if it's in front of you, I can't say what I'm gonna do. I can't say like I really do believe like, and you know me, you know how many dating horror stories Luca knows.
Don't gotta mention them. Like, there's one, I don't know if you want me to say it, but like it's the W from B, you know what I'm saying? Throw it back. If you know, you know.
The W from B?
I'm gonna just fucking say it. Will from Bumble.
Oh my god.
Do we gotta edit that in post?
It's okay. I don't think he's gonna. He might.
All right, don't worry. We'll edit that in post. Nobody heard that. Fuck. Now I gotta edit this shit. God. Look what's happening here. I don't want to have to do that.
Okay. Anyway, we're locking in.
All right.
Locking in.
I'll just can't repeat what I just said, and then.
W
you know what?
From B.
No, I gotta.
Okay.
I gotta censor that now too.
You can just put a censor sound over it.
But then I gotta put the black mouth thing.
No, you don't have to censor. I think it's okay if they read it.
Okay. Anyways, you know, let's get off this. Like, let's pivot this topic.
Pivot.
Right?
Okay. Go ahead.
What is the farthest distance you're willing to travel for an LDR? What? Like, I'm not talking fucking Iowa. I'm saying like, you know, what as New Yorkers, where's the boundary? Is it Philadelphia? Is it Boston? Is it? Why is it so funny?
Because okay.
Better lock the fuck in. We're doing a show here. No, it's not that serious.
I know. Okay, you know what's funny about Philly? Will moved to Philly. My bestie Will, my old roommate.
Shout out Will.
Love of my life. Will, my non-binary bestie. I was really sad. I love Will. Will is a loyal friend. Like,
I mean,
real
y'all
one.
are like two peas in a pod.
Yeah, I miss them so much. Will, I miss you, by the way. So
let it be known.
But I called them, I FaceTimed them crying one day. And can I just say, like, when Will moved, like about a year ago, last summer, I think. Was it last fall?
Shoot, I don't even remember.
I don't even remember. Like, it's been
I
because
thought it was
Will's
like
here all the time.
I thought it was this spring.
I'm so I'm loopy.
Like I could have sworn it was this year.
Sorry, Will.
I'm gonna take a guess. The month of May.
Okay.
I got no. I remember
Okay.
because it was warm.
Warm.
So how would it be last fall?
But Loretta was wearing his orange jacket.
Yeah, but he's always dripped up. I don't
You
know.
okay, my bad. Loretta's always dripped out. So it's like this. Will is a real one. We used to be roommates. They moved to Philly and they're like, oh, I feel like I'm gonna be there all the time anyway. I'm gonna come back to New York all the time. I'm gonna visit all the time. And I was like for birthdays and stuff. And I was like, yeah, but it's not gonna be like, it's not gonna be the same. Philly's far. When I tell you, like, Will show up. I call them crying. And they're like, I'm looking up tickets right now for a train. And they were there that night.
That's a homie.
That's a homie. And it's so funny. Yeah. They were like, so when I'm like, oh, Philly, like, oh no, Philly's too far. But then you make it, if you wanted to, you would. Like, you would make it work. And I think, yeah, I think that, like, I really think that, like you, yeah, okay, go ahead.
No, I'm just like, I hear you out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just more so wondering, like, so what's, like, your boundary? Like, what is the, you know, like, what if we got, like, a Staten Island kind of guy?
I'm just kidding.
No, that is a red flag. No.
Red flag. Like, what's the farthest?
Yeah, because, okay, so clearly Iowa's out the picture. We can move on from that. Take a drink every time one of us says Iowa.
I think that, ideally, I would want them to live within an hour or two. Like, this is not even, I wouldn't even consider that long distance, though.
Okay.
But, like, my ideal relationship, like, they can drive over or commute over in an hour or two. Like, okay, how about you? What's the farthest you would want to date, ideally?
Shoot. Got me in the hot seat. I think an hour is a good metric. I think an hour is actually really solid because, you know, not to compare a person to work, but having to commute an hour and a half for work, that should piss me off. I think that will get anybody, right?
Yeah.
I'm just like sitting on the bus like, God. So, like, with that being said,
yeah,
I would say similarly, right? It's like you would want to meet somebody, but obviously, like, sometimes we get lost in the sauce, right? Like, stuck in the moment, right? So if I was kind of like down in the dumps and if somebody was 10 minutes away, I'd be like, all right, yeah, sure, we could go on like a quick date, right? But if I was down in the
10
dumps,
minutes away.
This is just, no, I'm saying
Yeah.
that's
Okay. Yeah.
You know, a little bit of juxtaposition, as they say.
Okay.
So I'm saying versus that, like, if you're in a bad mood that day, you're more willing to go out because of the shorter time, right? It's like, if I'm interested in somebody and they're an hour and a half away and I'm in the fucking dumps, I'm not hopping on any bus.
But if you're upset, they can come to you.
Okay, what if we're both in the dumps?
Oh, okay. We're both in the dumps. Meet in the middle.
I guess, okay, this analogy is getting all sorts of fucking muddy right now.
Yeah.
Basically, I guess the moral from before is just kind of like, yeah, obviously these things are dials, right? They're willing to be tweaked based on people and interactions. And it's like, we don't fucking know. Like, shoot, maybe, who knows? Maybe we'll both be in like 3-hour LDRs, right?
I pray
My hands are sweaty.
Okay.
I'll fist bump you. I'm sorry.
I rebuke.
I get really nervous high-fiving people when
okay.
My hands are clammy. It's like, it's pretty gross right now. Like anyways. So, you know, I think past like just conceptually like an hour and a half, like it'd be a little bit bothersome, right? So I'd probably say an hour.
Okay.
Like driving an hour, what? That's
and you have a car.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I mean that's why. But you already know. Now we're talking about every like little thing we can tweak. Because, you know, it's just like, sure, I do have a car. Let's say the hour drive is into Manhattan. Well, parking in Manhattan fucking blows, right? So if they were in Manhattan, in a weird way, that would be kind of like more annoying than if it was just like an hour of driving and like a parking spot like right there. Or maybe even like an hour and a half driving. I think I'd rather drive more for like the guaranteed easy park.
Okay.
Because like, don't get me started on parking in Manhattan in certain areas of Queens.
Yeah.
All right, it's just cumbersome.
It's rough.
And then, like, you just have to keep track of so many. I'm like ranting, but it's
No,
like,
go ahead.
oh, you know, it's like, oh, this street, it's loading zone only until 6 p.m. And then this street is parking meters where you could pay for 2 hours, which is like $15. But then it ends at 7 p.m. But if you go to across the street, it ends at midnight. It's like, okay, I parked 1 block too far, and now I have to spend 5 extra hours of parking meter.
Mm-hmm.
Really? It's like, what? Like, what did that 1 block do to the roads?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what happened?
It's passenger princess privilege that
Ah.
I'm hearing this and I'm like, wow, that sucks.
How ironic that I picked you up from the train today.
Thank you, Luca. Anyway, so yeah. I think an hour, like, ideally, like, we could talk about, like, oh, what if, but just, like, you're right.
Exactly,
I
yeah,
think
there's-
in an hour and a half, 2 hours, I think that's a wrap. I think that,
That's like what did Uncle Joey from Full House say? You know what I'm saying? Where he'd be like, cut it, zip, something like, I forget. Ah, fuck.
I did not grow up with Full House.
Listen, the reference not only does it not land, I don't even fucking
Jamie,
remember it. So, Jamie,
Pull the reference up.
pull up the clip of Uncle Joey from Full House doing the cut it, zip it, whatever the fuck. Because, anyway, but yes, it's clipped. It's curtains.
Curtains.
All right, well, enough about these fucking dating scenarios and hypotheticals.
Why?
All right, fine. What's next?
Would you?
I'm personally running out of ideas. So if you got something else,
Damn.
just go for it. Like I'm juiced right now. I'm still like, got the freaking camera here, got the
Yeah.
lights going on. It's been 36 minutes and 57 seconds. It's like I gotta fucking censor this shit. Like I'm on Saturn right now. So shoot, what you got?
What? I saw recently something called expiration relationships.
I don't like the sound of that. What is this? What is this baloney?
It's when you guys get together knowing that it's not gonna work out this time, like, because they have to move or because something's coming up, like college or something, or you're going to different like a lot of different reasons.
Expiration relationship. Wow.
Would you, if you not based on personal experience at all, but if you knew, like, a year from now, so, like, would you spend that year if you knew someone had to,
like, a year from now they're just like moving to fucking Madagascar or some shit? Okay. My answer will be split yet again. I think me, kind of as how this discussion started, I would say me now, just completely void of romance and single. I'd be like, fuck no.
Yeah.
That shit sounds stupid as hell.
Yeah.
I'd be like, why the fuck would you do this if, like, the goal is, like, marriage, right? But I think if I was down bad enough, like, I have to just, like, look at it realistically, right? I could see a world where I'm just, like, so down bad and, like, head over heels, where I'm like, oh, yeah, it'll work. It'll be fine. Or whatever. And give it a shot.
Not even that it'll work, but that is worth it.
Well, it'll work for now.
Yes.
Asterisk. Looking for good time, not a long time, right? I don't know. Like I said, if I was super down bad, I'd probably. The thing is, like, I know myself to a degree, not 100%, but I would get, like, I think I would be too attached, where, like, she'd be like, all right, I'm moving to Madagascar next weekend. I'll be like, wait, take me with you.
Would you move for someone?
Would I move for someone? Ooh, that's actually a good question, because I guess it's, like, adjacent to the LDR question.
Yeah.
I think it depends on the spot.
Okay.
Okay, Madagascar probably not. I ain't got like nothing going on there. I have no fucking
Iowa?
Iowa. Fuck no. Fuck.
Oh, so I am not allowed to come to Iowa, but you are.
You know what? I retract my defense. All right, fuck the Iowans.
Sorry.
The cornfields. All right.
Sorry.
I swear, if somebody from Iowa, they're about to leave the nastiest comment ever. Like, wow. We
Like, if
actually
you're from
have like,
Iowa, tell me what is good there. Tell me besides corn. Like, tell me what is up in Iowa. I'm curious, genuinely.
it's
Like,
the corn moonshine.
why Iowa? Like, tell us what's good about it then.
Listen, it's basically it's not fucking Iowa. If it was like, okay, I gotta be honest right now.
Yeah.
If it was L.A., nah, not happening.
Why?
All right.
Oh, you don't like LA.
Because as a New Yorker, I have too much pride for my city. Okay,
Too loyal.
I've seen too many people go. Well, to be fair, there's a lot of people that go from like California to New York, but I've seen so many people that were from New York just like moved to Cali, and they're like, oh, the weather's so much nicer.
Yeah.
Everyone's so much nicer. People aren't as rude and blah blah blah. And I'm like, fuck. It's like, no, why'd you leave? All right, I know it's cold and I know it's grumpy, but like,
This is the spot.
this is the spot.
I love New York.
This is where the Haps
The magic
are,
happens.
you know. So I've thought about it. Like, honestly, if somebody suggested like Dallas or Austin, I kind of
You love Dallas, Austin.
I fuck with got the Bucky's hat on right now, the Busey's hat. I do fuck with Dallas.
Okay.
And
so-
I haven't been to Austin, but I have like some connections there, and I'd be receptive to being like, okay, you know, I'd have to leave like most people I know here,
Mhm.
but then, you know, get to hang out with the Austin guys.
Yeah.
So, you know, it might be a good trade-off, or like a trade-off rather, but I don't know. I guess it'd have to be the right place, but I would say like 80% though, probably not. I would say like there's an 80% chance,
Mhm.
just realistically, that I'm probably staying in New York.
Yeah.
It's just like grew up here, born here, fucking
born and bred.
born and bred. It's like, I don't know, like I really don't know that many people from other places in the world. I mean, obviously we got, you know, we got some connections in Chicago.
Shout out to Loretto.
And Philly.
And Philly. Shout out to Will.
And we got
Australia.
She don't live in Australia, dog.
My good friend.
She lives in New York.
She lives in New York now, but then they want to move back. They do want to move to Australia.
I probably forgot that point. Is that true?
Yeah, I think that. So our good friend Vanessa is engaged, to Sanford. Our other
To
good
Young
friend.
Blood.
To
Shout out
slide.
Young Blood, Sanford.
We're gonna get comments now. Okay. So they are
Comments from gang members.
and Iowans.
We need disclaimers. We're not from Iowa, nor are we affiliated with any gangs. So,
Except our gang.
okay.
Anyway, they're engaged and they want to live here for now, but they eventually want to go to Australia. So maybe we would have some connects in Australia 10 years down the line.
I ain't going to Australia.
Why?
Do you remember when
10
Vanessa was explaining about the goddamn wolf spiders?
years?
She's like, oh, they're only like this big. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm going to like squash and get a puddle in the room. Fuck no. Oh, it doesn't happen that often. Fuck no. No. I already have enough problem with New York pests, which honestly, they don't sound that bad compared to like fucking
Australia.
Yeah. And even to some degree Dallas. Like I heard stories recently that apparently in like the suburbs they just got fucking rattlesnakes. Like they just pull up to your garage like rattling. It's like, yeah, you know, I could just kill you if I bite you, but hanging out. And I like wolf spiders. I know I don't think they're venomous or poisonous, but still, it's like giant fucking spider. You're telling me that I'd move to a place with a giant fucking spiders just to, no offense to Vanessa and Sanford, but like.
Sorry, Australians. Sorry. What is it?
What?
Nor. Okay.
Nor. Sorry, Aussies.
Sorry.
I lost my Australian. I always mix it with British too much, you know.
Okay, anyway, locking in.
Lock it in.
Besides Texas, is there any other place you would consider being down to move to for a love?
For a love. Maybe Croatia.
Oh yeah, he's Croatian, guys.
Yeah, I am Croatian.
Write that
yeah.
down.
Write it down. Write it down.
Any Croatians in the chat?
No chat. No, you know what? This factoid is for the motherfuckers that want to start the Wikipedia page. All right, we're getting on that shit. That's my goal. The day I have a Wikipedia article written about me, that's when I know I made it. It's line 1. Luke is Croatian. Oh wow. I never would have guessed. Wow. Age 25. Wow. Okay.
Wow.
Damn, and he's kind of got the dump truck. You know, my main photo is gonna be me like throwing it back.
Show the
Anyways,
camera.
no. Then it would get age restricted. Anyways, yeah, maybe Croatian, just because like I do have. You know, well, it's not mine, but like it's my family's property, so it's just like I would have a home base where
Yeah.
like rent wouldn't really have to be worried about.
Yeah.
It's like I do know enough about the culture and the environment. Obviously not crazy amounts. Never like lived there other than vacations.
How would
But
you
yeah.
describe the culture there? Can you what is it like?
Oh,
I
God.
don't really know.
The culture there? Okay, well obviously I guess for disclaimer, this is going to be like my interpretation of it. So it might not even be accurate. It's just like an American boys like
American motherfuckers.
like non-fluent interpretation of it. Like, so what's the culture like there? I mean, it's like super different actually depending on where you go. Like, so where my parents are from, they're like on different parts of Croatia, but like, so I haven't been to like a lot of the other ones. So like the culture might be even more rich, but fucking like I said, I haven't visited most places because I'd mostly visit like family in one of 2 spots.
Yeah.
So it's like the capital is actually really cool.
Oh, okay.
Because, and I think this is like a fun little fact. I'm not a history buff, so like these facts might get a little botched. So just more disclaimers on disclaimers. Do your own research, kids. But I think it was something like at one point Croatia was under, or parts of Croatia were under like the Austria-Hungarian rule.
Okay.
So during that time, that's like when the main architecture of the capital was built, and for that reason, the capital looks a lot like Vienna, like Vienna, Austria. I think is. Hopefully my geography is right here. And I think it's like pretty cool because I never even noticed until I googled pictures of Vienna. I was like, what the fuck? That's just like
Croatia.
it's just like the capital.
Jamie, pull up those pics.
Jamie, pull up the picture of Vienna. Jamie, pull up a picture of my balls.
Chat, talk about it.
Never mind, I can't get demonetized. No, Jamie, put that away. Anyways. God damn, fucking Jamie. Can't get enough of this guy.
Jamie, are you serious?
But then the other, so like, okay, well, I haven't even talked about the culture of the people. It's just, I was just like, man, the architecture is kind of cool. Heard there.
No, but yeah, that's part of it. That's part of it.
But
That's culture.
I don't know, like, I think I know more culturally about like the kind of the South, where my dad is from, where it's like, it's coastal. There's like a whole like, it's not a religion, but it's like almost like a sub-religion on like the winds.
The winds.
The winds. It's like crazy, where it's not exactly like a typhoon or something, but like they get like crazy seasonal winds, and based on like the direction that it's coming from, they have different terms for different directional winds, whether it's like northeast, west, south, and they're like all associated with like, you know, a progression of natural events that like everyone kind of knows. So like, and these winds go like stupid fast. Like they literally close down highways and shit because the winds are so fast.
Whoa.
Yeah, and it's also because a lot of the like side roads are really windy and like literally like mountainside, and like
no
one
gates, no
they
blocking?
have like a gate, but like
Okay.
if you're going fast enough, you could probably crush that shit. If I had to guess, never tried it. But it's like, it's pretty sus, and it's just like one lane each way. And then, you know, sometimes people get a little antsy in their car and they want to gap the guy in front of them, like pass them. So they're literally going into oncoming traffic just to pass someone. And sometimes you can't see if somebody's coming because it's so windy, and like there's literally just like rocks in your way. Anyway, so they literally have to like close down the roads because of the winds. And I mean, like I said, I didn't fucking grow up there, but yeah, they're like, oh yeah, this wind comes from the mountains because like, oh, you know, up there it's so cold that it creates like a pressure system, so then the winds just. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. Oh yeah, and if they come from down there, it's called this, and it causes this, so then like, this is gonna happen, and blah blah, and it, like I really gotta like look more into it because it is really cool, and like, you know, it just like because like back in the day everyone was just like farming and shit. It
Yeah.
just like really affected like how, you know, it's like Minecraft
Yeah.
on survival mode. You know, it's like, oh shit, like the winds could just blow down your crops. You know, it's like, well, fuck. You know, now we're gonna be starving.
Yeah.
Oops.
Oops.
So
Sorry.
as for the people, I think the Southerners in Croatia are pretty funny because they're like extremely vulgar and like I don't know, it's interesting how it's I don't know why it's always the south of nations that are like the countryside,
Yeah.
but it's almost like parallel with like America almost, where yeah, the Southerners are more like, you know, they talk with certain lingo and certain dialect, and they're a little bit more rowdy. They make their own moonshine and shit. Not to say that people up north don't or aren't rowdy,
Yeah.
but they're just more like proper about it.
Ah.
Like I don't know, I really don't know how to describe it, but like people from the Balkans, they know. Like if they have some countryside family members, like that, not to stereotype, but they all kind of are like copy paste for the most part. Like there's a high likelihood they're a closeted alcoholic. There's a high likelihood that they're addicted to cigarettes, and their temperament is probably like insanely short.
Okay.
So it's just like people getting angry and yelling at each other and then having a laugh about it while drinking and smoking and eating food.
Yeah. I don't know if I am stereotyping, but similar, you know, I know like a lot of European cultures are very heavy on drinking, and a lot of Asian cultures too.
Yeah, I think it's just a global thing, personally.
Yeah. Because it reminds me a bit of like a friend describing the Irish culture.
Okay.
Similarly, like very like loud and rowdy and loves to drink.
To some degree, I think that's just something that all humans have in common.
Yeah.
Because I feel like every culture is like, oh, you think you can drink? You've never seen how can drink. You know, I'm from, you know, I feel like I've heard that so much from so many different cultures.
Yeah.
Including Croats. They're like, oh, your friends think they can drink, huh? Well, I'm Croatian, buddy. So, like, see me at the bar. And I'm like, dude, it ain't no competition. What's going on here, you know?
You know what I also hear is like Filipino time, and there's like Asian time.
Okay.
Where like a lot of cultures are like, oh, you think your culture's late, our culture's also late,
Okay.
kind of thing.
It's like, I think that's just humans. I think humans
Yeah.
just love being late and love drinking alcohol. Like, is that too much to say?
Is that too much to ask for? Like,
No, I think it's, you don't gotta ask for it. It's happening.
yeah, it's
Just like open your eyes, you know? Like shit, I do that shit all the time, you know? Where I'm like, oh yeah, I fucking did it today on accident. I was like, oh yeah, I'll meet you at 6:30. Fucking, I get in my car at 6:30. I'm like, oh shit. Oh fuck.
I've never been late in my entire life.
Okay, on what clock? The Filipino clock?
My Filipino time is on Filipino time.
It's on like fucking 8 times daylight savings. Like you're stuck in fucking yesterday.
Maybe I could do a long distance relationship.
Maybe you could.
You know what? I'm having an epiphany.
Just like, wait a second, we're in the same time zone.
Wait.
What the? Wait, you're telling it's 6 a.m. for you too?
I just woke up.
It's like, wait a second, but
It's WID.
you're out in like another continent. What the?
Whoa.
Anywho,
Yeah.
well, I'm like that. You really stumped me with that question. It's like the fucking culture of
Yeah.
Croats. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how we're like. They're just like them. I know that, like, at least from my family, and I'd like to assume it's a lot of other families, like, I always tell this, I think we've talked about this before, I think, but, like, I never realized how important it was until, like, maybe, like, honestly, kind of recently, but they hold a lot of importance around the dinner table.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, the dinner table is, like, that's, like, the fucking spot. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay.
That is, like, that's why, like, my parents, when they got their, like, you know, kind of expensive, like, dinner table with, like, whatever, oh, it could extend and shit. It's because they were like, yeah, we want this shit to last, like, forever. They're like, we're gonna, like, if we have to move, we're moving with it. Like, this is, like, a set piece of the house. Because, like, other than I've seen it, you know, just from, like, visiting over the summers. But, yeah, it's, like, whenever there's, like, a party or, like, people are throwing down, you know, it's, like, sure, there might be singing. There might, like, okay, singing usually comes at, like, that's the tail end of the party. That's when people get, like, rocked.
Yeah.
But at the beginning, you know, or even the middle, it's, like, usually not so much singing. Honestly, not really a lot of dancing. We're not really, we don't got dancers, to be honest.
Okay.
or at least like the, like it's mostly like I said, the countryside home parties, right? It's not like in a venue. It's like in somebody's fucking backyard.
Yeah.
And it's usually between like the warmer seasons, right? The winter, everyone kind of like just shells up, stays home.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how it is nowadays with like the advent of like the internet and shit, but at least like back in the day, it's like fuck, like, because when I would visit, it's like, most of my grandparents and people in my grandparents' generation, where it's like they didn't even have like phones. Mm-hmm. So for them, the culture was like, if I want to see you, I'm pulling up, right? Yeah. Or just like word of mouth. Like, so these parties would just be like word of mouth. Like, hey, on this day, it's like whatever. It's like somebody's like funeral anniversary, or like, oh, it's somebody's birthday, or like, oh, my grandkids are in town, or whatever. Like, just any reason, everybody communes around the dinner table. Like, they'll literally fucking... they'll take 3 or 4 of the, like, the Costco folding outdoor, the tables.
Yep.
Like, Vanessa's got one, shit like that.
Yep.
It's like they would take 3 or 4 of those and just, like, roll them up, and everyone's sitting around, because then, like, they always got food on deck.
Yeah.
So it's just, like, 8-course meal, where it's like, all right, here's the charcuterie board apps, and then we got, like, the lamb that's been spinning for the past, like, 8 hours. And then they chop up the lamb, and then it's like, all right, now they got dessert. And the whole time, they probably drank like 20 liters of wine at this point each. So it's like, and then it just like keeps going into the night, I think this will be sort of a tangent. We're really entering yapping territory, but I feel like that's why I've almost been like conditioned to be like the last one to leave a party, because like these shits would go until like 2, 3, 4 in the morning sometimes, right? Like even as a kid, sometimes like obviously I'd get tired. I'm not drinking as like an 8-year-old.
You weren't?
Then I'd like go to sleep. Then these motherfuckers would talk about. Also, no, I wasn't. But these motherfuckers would talk about like ending their shit at like 4, 5, 6 a.m. like watching the sun go up.
Yeah.
So I feel like for me it's kind of weird when people, it's like 10:30 and they're like, oh man, it's 10. Like, oh, I got work tomorrow. I'm kind of fucking tired, bro. It's like, damn, I had, like, family members that were in their 60s, 70s, just, like, staying up till the crack of dawn drinking booze.
They can hang.
They can fucking party. So it's like, but, I guess to reel it back in, all the way back, it's like, it's all about the table, And that's even, maybe that sentiment is even what's bringing us here today, Kames. You ever think about that? Because, like, the whole point of the family gatherings was to sit down and fucking yap, right? Okay, we're missing the food and the drinks part, but like fuck that part.
We had McDonald's earlier.
We did have some
at the table, the infamous table.
At the infamous table, then like even after admitting this to some friends, there would be times where we would like just chill at a table and just fucking talk for hours, and I'm like, you know what? I think that's kind of like what it's about, like hanging. Yeah. We did that at Vanessa's. And that's why I love it so much, like no rip on Vanessa or anybody else, but sometimes like the movie nights, the board game nights, can't say they're my fave. It's just like, it's all about yapping. It's all about
pure
just
yapology.
Like, just like sitting down shooting the shit.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's like, I guess it's culturally important to me. Yeah. I can admit that now. So.
That's cool. It is fun. It is fun when you're just able to, and this is kind of like how the idea of your podcast got started. Is we always hang out at our friend Vanessa's house, and it's always like when it's us, it's usually just us yapping. It's usually just us for hours.
Talking about ants and shit.
Like,
that's a deep cut. Sorry.
One of our favorite conversations we've had is like when I was like, oh, like what animals would we not want to be?
Okay, so we're talking about that. Okay, yeah.
Do you want to go into it, or do you want to save it?
No, we could because it's like I don't know who else to talk about this with. It's like that was a banger conversation.
This is like a star conversation because we changed the name of the group chat because of this conversation. Like it was like iconic.
It was a fucking movie.
It was a movie, and I had asked like, I love coming up with like these interesting questions. I think we all do that. But I was like, so. What animal would you not want to be? And then I was like, for me, I feel like I wouldn't want to be an ant, like get squished all the time. And then Luca was like, actually, you know what? And he went up on a rant.
Because when you were saying this, I was thinking like the similar, like I was on the similar like wavelength where I was like, oh, I wouldn't want to be an ant. And then I caught myself. I was like, wait a second, ants are sick as fuck. And then you were like, no, I wouldn't want to be a fucking ant. And then I was like, hold on.
Hold
Hold the fuck on.
Yes.
Ants are dope. And Dude, you just gotta go back into it. Dude, you just gotta.
Should we just dive in?
Well, I guess first, just because you gotta like set up the fucking
Go ahead.
the setting,
Yes.
where it's like, for starters. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, that Mac has got me fucked up. For starters, like, wait, this was okay, I remember what day this was. Okay, because I'm not much of a weed smoker, right?
Oh,
Like, I don't really like weed, and I don't frequent it at all. But on the occasion, the special occasion, I'm willing to get a little funny. So this was the day, and Vanessa, who's literally allergic to alcohol, on a whim, we're like, fuck it, let's make a quick little swap, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because normally whenever we'd go over, it'd be like, they may or may not be partaking in marijuana products,
The devil's
allegedly.
lettuce.
Allegedly. Then obviously, there's like a 9 out of 10 chance that I'd be drinking, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we did the swap. So now it's like I'm getting kind of fucking clapped because I ripped her pen, and I think that was just like a novel experience because it just doesn't happen often. So I was like, holy shit, dude! Like I was just on one.
Yeah.
I was like approaching fucking Neptune. I was like, holy shit, I'm cooked right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then you mentioned the ants, and I was fucking like peeking. I was like, nah, let me cook. The ants are fucking dope.
Mm-hmm.
You know why the ants are dope?
Why?
Kamy, the ants are fucking dope because I forget where this was in the order of things, but first of all, they're strong as fuck.
Yep.
I was like, that's sick as fuck. If I could carry like whatever 100 times my body weight or whatever, that's just fucking baller. Are you kidding? Just walking around casually like lifting a fucking car and shit. But the grander picture was they're just all about being a fucking unit. Like the
absolute unit.
The idea of the individual and the removal of ego is just so fucking based. All right, because these dudes are a whole ass gang. We're not gang affiliated, but you know what I'm saying. Like whenever you like, I was talking about it's like, oh, for most animals, like you could imagine like one, and like if you get a cat or a dog, most people are getting a cat, a dog.
Yeah.
If you get ants, you get the whole colony.
Whole colony.
You get the queen, you get the workers, you get the whatever.
Colonel Sanders.
Yeah, and then I just like, at least in my mind, I think talking about the ants, I was just like really fucking feeling for them,
Yeah.
Like I was catching a vibe off those ants.
Empathy for the
For
ants.
real. I was like, yo, these dudes care so much about the unit, the colony, the queen. Like they'll put their fucking life on the line to go out there. So when you mentioned your answer of like, oh yeah, but I'd just get squashed, my rebuttal was like, well, like fuck, like the scout ant that's going away from base to look for food. Like he's not worried about himself. He's like, shit, I gotta find food for the homies.
Yeah.
Right. So if he gets squashed, he's a hero. He's done his part. He's a martyr. He's fighting for his fucking team. All right. He's not doing that shit for himself. He's not like, I'm hungry. It's like, oh shit, the squad's hungry. I think you see it. If they do find the food, what do? Line up. He pulls up. He comes back. He's like, hey yo boys, guess what the fuck I found? And then all the homies pull up. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody's. Oh yeah, man. I'm just gonna chill at home. I'm kind of tired today. I was just banging the queen. No. No, everybody's coming out. They got that shit in fucking lines. The shit's too heavy. You got 3, 4, 5 fucking ants carrying that shit. And because I was clapped, I was just really like admiring, like how they're able to, like how the fuck do ants know that shit? They just know to rock together.
The community.
Like their individual selves is not nearly as important as their whole colony. Yeah. And don't do fucking anything for the team, for the squad. They never switch up on the gang. Yep. They never leave lacking. It's like nobody's fucking skipping morning practice. Everyone's there for morning practice. You know what I'm saying? If somebody's like a scouter, they're not like, I need to explore my career options. Maybe I don't want to be the scout ant. Maybe I want to be like the guy that builds the hill, the ant little hill. Maybe I could look for a new home. No. It's like, oh, I'm the scout ant. Bet. Like, I'm gonna hop out this. Oh, I got squashed? Okay.
I got squashed? Whatever.
He's fighting for the team. There were no ifs, ands, or buts. So it's like, fuck it. If I was a scout ant and I got squashed, I'd die happy. That's why I would be an ant. Next time somebody asks me what animal would I be, I'd be an ant.
Is that your first choice?
Honestly, after that
Conversation.
probably.
Yeah.
Probably, like, you know, did I mention they're strong as fuck? Shit.
Yeah.
I wish I could carry that much. Like, I don't know.
Huh.
Like, it really is just crazy how much, like, pure collaboration there is. I mean, I might have to research more on ants. Like, I don't, like, is there betrayal? Like, how, like, does it happen? Do people switch up on the gang?
Ooh. Maybe it's just, you know, like, good propaganda that we've been served.
That's true.
Like, A Bug's Life. That's
Yo.
propaganda.
Yeah.
Honestly, that could be where all of our
Like,
ideas of ants come from.
shit. You got me. Whatever. I'm gonna have to look up
Are
on
we a
it.
victim?
But like, what if I Google it? What if like Google like what if Mr. Jamie pull up the ants and whether or not they betray and deserve to be sent to the final ring of hell, according to Dante.
Was the guillotine electric chair for ants?
No, we do the not the chair. We do the electric fucking lamp. Well, I guess not for ants. We do
the magnifying glass thing.
Oh, that's just burning them. I was thinking like the bug zappers for like
Oh
mosquitoes.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
So we do kind of like electrocute them already, but we do spray them with like acid.
We do.
It's like it's rough being an ant, you
It is
know.
rough.
Pull up to the wrong dude's homie, you just fucking. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
like holy shit, bro. Fuck.
Like you're just trying to enjoy a meal. You're just trying to get food for the homies.
Yeah, you're just like picking up the one like crumb off the floor.
They didn't even want it. They don't want it
They
on the floor.
dropped the breadcrumb, and you're like, "Fuck, dude, this is like
A
3
feast.
days of food. Holy!"
You try to bring it back to your family that's starving at home, and they're like,
And then they just start burning your ass or spraying your. No. It's a thankless task being an ant. But I mean, like, so assuming there is no betrayal, if they really just were like about it with the gang, I think that'd be fucking awesome. You know, I think.
well, it would be awesome if they portrayed it.
No, if they
They
didn't.
Oh,
Like if I Google it and fucking Bill Nye the Science Guy's like, oh, did you know that ants never switch up on the gang? I'd be like, oh shit.
that's
Bill,
my favorite
Bill.
episode. Bill.
It's my favorite episode, bro. That would just make me want to be one more, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
But like, you know, I mean, as humans, we already are stuck with betrayers. So I guess it wouldn't be too much different, even if they did betray. I'd be like,
some snakes in the house.
I'd be like, fuck it, there might be some snakes, but like, dude, like 99% efficiency on this whole fucking shit and like canals. Like, how do they build that shit? You know, that shit is intricate as fuck.
Do you think they built the pyramid?
Shit, that would make sense. If you got, how many ants would you need to pick up like one of those stones? Like,
Let's do the math.
I know one of my friends has told me that this is a side, kind of a tangent, but he likes the term at least because it just assumes any number greater than that, right?
Yep.
So for this, it would technically be correct to say at least one. At least one ant.
At least one.
You know, at most, I don't know, but at least one ant could probably
build the pyramid. How long would it take? I don't know.
At least a second.
At least 1 second.
At least.
At least maybe a minute. But like at least a second.
At least this, maybe a minute. I'd have to think about that one more. I gotta crunch the numbers. But anyways, so would you pick any other animal other than the ant? Like, have I not? Like, every time we talk about this, I always end up accidentally gassing up the ants even fucking more. I'm like, oh, okay, we'll talk about the goofy ant story. Then it ends up with like, yo, ants are fucking
sick
as hell.
What would you do if you found out ants were not moral creatures? Like they switched up on the gang.
They switched up on the gang? Switched up on the queen? Shit.
Damn.
But like, how is that possible? Because most of them like live in the colony. Like, how would most of them betray? That just wouldn't work.
There's too many of them. Like what if they like overthrew?
Overthrew? Fuck it, they're just like, just what? Just like start a coup against the queen?
Yeah.
I mean, shit. Given the fact that, I mean, like, I don't fucking.
You're like, I forgive them. You're like.
I mean, what if the queen was like annoying or something? I don't know. What if she was mean?
Okay.
Like, you know, you never know the more motives of these things. Like, technically, the country we're in right now is based off a revolution, right? So it's like, well, if they wanted to revolt against the queen, well, was she a fair queen? I don't know.
Let's talk about what if you were an ant, under what circumstances would you revolt the queen?
Under what circumstances?
Yeah.
Shoot, I don't think I'd... Listen, this is a strange question. If I was an ant...
Yeah.
If I was an ant...
If you were an ant.
The fuck does that even mean? If I was an ant, I'd probably just do whatever the hell she told me. Even if she was evil, I'd be like...
You'd be
Okay.
crony, okay.
I'd be a crony, probably.
Okay.
Just because,
You're
like...
loyal.
No, I'm thinking, like, I'd be an ant. Like, I don't think I'd be able
to revolt.
to, like, consider revolting as an option.
But, like, what if all the other ants, or, like, let's say half the ants are revolting, half are not? Which
I think my answer is up to a coin toss because...
Really?
Because I think my whole point is that, like, you know, ants work together. If you're telling me if it's 50-50, I think in my little pea ant brain that I think it's literally like a coin. Whatever, like, fucking neuron gets activated the wrong way, whatever, like, fucking gamma ray from the sun hits my brain the wrong way, I'm like, oh, shit. And then I look at, like, one of the two and I just start walking. Like, I don't think there's much, like,
on in there.
Yeah, there's no, like... philosophical discourse, you know, like, okay, well, these guys are revolting, but, like, these guys want to stick with the queen. No, I think I would just like fuck it, like
gang, where we headed, where we dropping?
like in a way they're like sheep, but like a lot more productive, I'd say.
Okay.
Or I guess maybe that's not the right word.
Shout out to my sheep out there.
Shout out to my sheeple. We stay taking the blue pill. Fuck a red pill. We stay in the Matrix. Fuck Neo.
Fuck you, Neo.
Fuck that guy. He doesn't know what's good. No, I'm playing.
So it'd really be a coin toss. It'd really be like...
Like I said, I'd have the brain of an ant. Yeah, I think I'd just...
What if you had your brain right now?
Okay, well, this just, like, gets... This can be, like, elaborated infinitely longer, right? Because now you gotta, like, fill out this fucking... We're basically just playing, like, a... We're just LARPing right now. You gotta give me the fucking...
Yeah.
Just gotta give me the fucking... The groundworks for this shit.
Okay.
You know, it's like,
oh,
you know, what did the queen do? What are we revolting against? Who's the guy that's leading the revolution?
What if you were...
Am I being treated properly? Do I think...
Workers' rights.
Do I think that the work that I provide to the colony it gets, like, you know...
Seen.
Gets seen? And do I get, like, reciprocated?
Good questions.
You know what I'm saying? That's why, like, these what ifs can only go as deep as you're willing to describe the story. You know, it's basically just a fucking, like, RPG at this point.
I love the conversation we had at Gray Street about who would win in a fight. One, Ryan Gosling, or...
Oh, I forgot about that one. Who would win in a fight? One... Wait, did we say... Okay, it's one Ryan Gosling-sized goose. Or... What was it, 100 or 10?
100? I think it was 10 goose-sized Ryan Goslings.
I then... Dude, we, like, devolved that conversation so fast. Because then we're like, all right, fuck it. The goose has the brain of Ryan Gosling. And the Ryan Goslings got geese brain. So we're just, like, imagining...
The morality of it.
Yeah, so we're just imagining, like, 10 feral, tiny-ass fucking Ryan Goslings running at this goose. It's, like, a horrific thing to imagine. I'll admit it. You know, how do you think Ryan Gosling feels being trapped in the body of a giant goose?
Probably not good. He can't communicate.
Didn't that conversation only spark because we're like, oh, yeah, you know that Gosling is, like, a term for a baby goose or whatever. And then we're like, who
would in a fight?
Who would? But, like, I don't remember what it was, like. I know you have a video of me defending a point, like, really strong. I don't remember. I don't remember who I was defending. But I was really passionate. I was like, it was like the ants all over again. Shit.
Yeah.
Do you remember who did I want to win?
All I remember is Vanessa was like, that's sad. Like, he's stuck in
Nor, that's so sad.
Nor. Oh, they can't even, they're just running around.
The fucking cunt. Stuck in the goose.
It's
just
heartbreaking.
It's botched. Blimey.
Crikey, mate.
We're just dunking on Australians every second we can.
My bad, Australians. My bad, Iowans. My bad, gang members.
God.
My bad, Croatia.
We're just throwing shade to everybody imaginable. You know what? Just fuck everybody. All right. I'm tired.
I
of this
hate
shit.
everyone equally. I'm not racist. If I hate everyone,
Yeah.
equally, I don't see color.
Yeah. No. I don't. Yeah. I'll just be racist to everybody.
Yeah.
That's not racism.
White people.
I agree. Just because they're part of people, and I don't see color. Anyways.
What's your favorite color?
Okay. Don't. Okay. No. Wait. Hold up. Okay. I got a bone to pick with you.
Go
all right.
what?
If
Keep
I may
switching?
add.
What?
Let me just see. Dang. It's already been an hour 15. Can you believe that?
Crazy.
I think it's quick side. What are we thinking? Like 2 hours? I'm thinking 2 hours. I think that's. Fuck it. We'll see. We'll see based on vibes. If we're getting a little. Anyways.
Can I go Instagram Live?
Do you want to?
I'll go Instagram Live right now.
I mean, sure. I don't have a page to plug. Like, it literally doesn't exist.
We can just chat and chat and chill.
I mean, I'm like, I don't really care. You can do whatever you want.
And then tell me about the bone you have to pick with me.
All right. Here's the bone.
Wait, let me do it.
Okay. Intermission. Got a fucking
Intermission.
Jeopardy theme playing. But then you're gonna be reading chat. That's gonna
Will I be
take away
distracted?
from. I think so. I think the whole point is just two homies kicking it. You know.
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
What about like? But we have a good stuff. This could be like the.
Because then that just becomes a live stream. You know what I'm saying? Like.
Yeah.
This is.
Okay, you don't have to.
You know what I'm saying? Like I wouldn't mind if you do that just for the sake of stream, but like I'm not gonna lie, I'm not looking to read no chat just because like there's other people's opinions get it, and everyone else is wrong. No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
But my oh, okay.
No, what's your bone to pick?
Okay, yeah, my bone to pick with you is So I was talking about this recently, right?
Yeah.
Actually, with the person from close to Boston.
Yeah.
Where I think asking people their favorite color is probably, and this I mean this in no offense, is probably like is maybe top 2, maybe top 3, I don't know, maybe number 1. It has got to be top 3 like most boring questions to ask. I got to be honest, because that is like I'm just thinking like matching with somebody on a dating app and like thinking about things to talk about or like get to know them. Like, what's your favorite color? You know what I'm saying? Like, what other questions did you have to forget about to
jump right there
to resort to using what's?
I think it's a good question. First question, I don't know, but I am curious. Like, I think that there is
Like a meaning behind it.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is your then what question? What's your favorite? What's your go-to icebreaker? Get to know someone question.
See, that's where
Body count.
No. What's your body? Yeah. How many boyfriends you have? Yeah. Right. I guess it's like almost. I would say it's probably my strongest and my weakest point. It might be naive to say strongest. Anyways, it's like. It's really bad for starting a conversation, but I think it works out for keeping one. And I think it's just saying, like, fuck it, and just having, like, no game plan. Because my favorite conversations are when motherfuckers just start, like, going off, and my brain just naturally, like, pops up with questions. And I'm like, the intrigue is just, like, freeform. You know, there's no, like, trying. It's like, oh, I gotta seem like I'm interested. Like, the best is just when I'm interested. It's just like, oh, shit, what the... Like, you play fucking ice hockey? Like, what the... How long did it take you to fucking stand on ice skates straight? Whatever. Like, it's just a random topic, right? So, like, honestly, I don't have an icebreaker because that shit does suck. Maybe it is, what's your favorite color?
Full circle.
I don't fucking know. Like, hey, how's your day?
I will say, when people ask me that, like text me that, like, in person, it's cool. But I feel like if someone messages me... Besides, like, if I have a crush on them, I will do anything to keep a conversation going, like whatever.
Okay.
So, but if friends are asking me, like, oh, like, what's up or how are you, and I haven't spoken to them, like, I find it hard to, like, I don't know what to say. Sometimes it takes a long time to respond, because I'm like, oh, how am I? Like, how am I? I'd rather a more specific question. I think. And I feel so cared for when they ask me that. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my god, like they love me. Like thank you for asking. Like this is so sweet.
But just kind of like the time apart is like, is that the kind of,
Maybe.
or it's just like, oh shit, like so much has happened where it's like, what the like, where do I begin?
Where do I start? It's like, yeah, maybe it's like there's so much that it's like I can't describe that all in a message back. Like it's not a casual. Like if we want to meet up and talk, like cool. Like if we're gonna yap, let's yap. You know.
Okay.
Like a how are you is like a yap question, and if we have the time to unpack it, and maybe that's why, like, for example, like when I was seeing someone, right, and we were talking a lot and texting a lot, when he's like, oh, like how are you, like I enjoyed it because like he had the time, like we had time to get into the nitty gritty, you know.
Okay.
Versus like a friend that I haven't
Like
talked to in a month.
catching up, kind of.
Yeah.
It's like a shorter timeline almost. Where it's like,
yeah.
okay. I just feel like it's a great question from kind of, as you mentioned, just like frequent friends. But
Yes.
like, I don't know about like the friend you haven't seen in a while. That one could be like, I don't know, like I keep it casual. Oh, how you been? Like, oh, you know, got a new job, blah, whatever. Who cares? But like, I feel like I fucking hate it, and I don't like doing it on like a dating app, right? I think that is just like, because that is just like that's the same shit as like favorite color, right? That's why I said it. It's like, oh, how's your day? Snore. It's like, oh, you go to school? What do you study? It's like, oh my, I don't know, like about you,
Yeah.
but that shit pisses me off, and it's like, listen, I'm not trying to say like, oh, like. I think I used to be on that high horse of like, you know what, small talk is fucking stupid. Let's just get to the real shit, blah, blah. Then I heard like a take once that made a lot of sense. It's like small talk is important, you know? It's kind of like people's first like inference of seeing how you navigate a conversation, right? So then they might be more perceptive to like getting a little, talking about answers, some shit, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, so small talk's important. I just think, well, for me, I could say I fucking suck at starting it, right? But then, like, I don't know, the cliche answers, or the cliche questions, rather, they just grind my gears. Favorite color, fucking, how's your day? What are you studying? Where do you work? I, like, those four.
Uh-huh.
Those are, like, the big four. Okay, maybe not the color. I haven't...
The 4 horsemen of bad icebreaker questions.
I think it's more so like the first 3 because like the color one, I gotta be honest, if somebody asked me that shit, question 1, that's like the forbidden. That's like fucking Exodia. You know, it's like you do not.
The forbidden question is what's your favorite. I love knowing what something.
Oh my.
Visually, that's how you see the world visually. It's like it says something about you.
See, but I think like reserve that for question like 20, right? Because then at 20, it's like, okay, maybe, you know, like this, yeah, they're asking because they want to see, like, the deeper connection. Oh, yeah, I like blue. Oh, shit, is it because, like, I fuck with the blue sky, the blue sea? Is it because I'm blue, I'm somber, like fucking Picasso in his blue period or whatever the fuck, right?
Yeah.
Oh, he likes brown. It's because he's shit-pilled and he's always stinky and smelly. And he's gross. You know what I'm saying? It's like, sure, maybe...
This man likes brown.
Listen, you got me... All I'm saying is like, sure, these things do get interesting, but like, question 1, question fucking 1.
You know, you're right. I don't think it should be the first question.
Hell no, no way, Jose.
Then what would your first question? I really love.
I said it. How's your day?
Oh yeah.
What do you study? Where do you work?
Those are the. I thought you said they were bad.
They are, and I haven't figured anything better.
I love, like, what are your hobbies? I know it's a cliche question.
What are your hobbies? I hate that question. Well, I hate getting that question asked.
Why? Because you don't have any hobbies?
Well, like, okay, I do, but it's like, okay, maybe, like, I don't really think it's an insecurity thing. I think it's just, like, maybe, like, I haven't delved into it, but I'm just like, oh, fuck. Like, I think my hobbies, okay, I guess to put it lightly, I would say that, like, I would like to assume that they're just like negative Riz for whatever fucking reason, right? Because like I think like the W Riz fucking hobbies, it's like, oh, you know, rock climbing.
I was gonna say climbing.
Like, climbing, like lifting weights, spending time with my fucking dog, hiking, and fucking pottery and cooking and marathons. And then I'm like, fuck, what do I like to do? I like to play.
I like to play video games.
I like
Have
to
you
play
heard of
video
Melee?
games. Have you heard of Yes, but that's literally me. And then it's like, well, what the? Oh, is that like the new Smash? I'm like, oh, if you know, you know. I'm not even gonna go down this fucking topic because anybody who plays Melee knows exactly the pipeline that every conversation goes down. It's like, oh yeah, I love that game. Love Snake. It's like, oh, wrong one, but good try. Now I'm just ranting. Anyways,
I think worse.
it's like so
hobbies-
niche, and
Yeah.
it's a fucking video game. And even though I love this shit, like this is just how God fucking made me, yo.
Yeah.
I was just born like
Out
this.
the womb.
I was just fucking born a gamer.
With the controller in your hand.
Real shit. Had the Game Boy since day one. It's like
Loaded.
and it's like, other than the other ones, it's like, sure, someday I want to get back into fitness, but I'm not there yet, so I don't answer the fitness answers, you know? And then it's like, reading, writing, they're also kind of on the back burner. But then also, like, those are fucking, like, nerd answers.
No, I love reading. I love going to Barnes and Noble. Do you know this about me? Like, I will, after work, if I have no plans and everyone's too busy for dinner or whatever, I will go to Barnes and Noble and sit down and read for a few hours.
That's actually kind of fucking sick.
Yeah, that's my third space. Like, the Union Square, Barnes and Noble, celebrities will go and do their book readings there. Like, I've seen
Really?
Jimmy Fallon there. I've seen
Whoa.
the guy who plays Kurt from Glee.
Never watched Glee.
Yeah.
Okay, but
That's-
yeah, shout out Kurt.
Kurt, if you're out there.
Shout out there, Kurt. Let's get you on the show sometime. No.
Get out of here.
Jamie, call Kurt from Glee. Anyways.
I'm trying to remember his real name.
I mean, have you been to, like, Strand?
I have. It's nearby.
Yeah.
But I like Barnes & Noble because there's space to sit.
And they got
in
the
the cafe.
Starbucks, right?
Yes. I love the spinach feta pretzel there. That's my go-to. I'll get like one or two of those. And they changed it up. I've been there so long. Actually, I grew up near Barnes & Noble. I will say this.
So you're a Barnes & Noble girly?
I'm a Barnes & Noble girly. I'm like a veteran.
Okay.
So since like middle school, high school, my parents would, on the weekend or something, if I had nothing else to do, drop me off at Barnes & Noble, pick me up at like 9 or 10 when it closed. And
Damn.
I would be there. I would be there reading.
It's kind of sick.
Yeah. And they changed their pretzel. It used to be like a big pretzel thing. They changed it to like this more straight tart shape. I noticed I'm writing this down. Like I'm noticing these things.
Yo, it's the shrinkflation.
Shrinkflation, for real. It's still good.
Listen.
Still delicious, by the way. That's if you are ever in a Barnes and Noble, or maybe it's in all Starbucks, I don't know. But please get the spinach feta pretzel. It's so good.
I've never tried that shit in my life.
We gotta go. I gotta
Gotta
take
go to
you.
Barnes and Noble.
Let me take you to my spot.
The Barnes, fuck it. Like, reading's tight, but I'm not a good reader, so I can't do that shit for hours.
What do you mean you're not a good reader? Oh, you're not
Like,
focused.
yeah, after like 30 minutes, my brain like reads the same sentence 20 times.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, fuck.
That's fair.
So I just don't have the stamina for it, you know. Like, whatever. I'm a slow reader, but I don't give a fuck. It's like,
Yeah.
eventually I'll finish that shit. Who
Yeah.
cares? But it's mostly like the duration, like the sessions. It's hard for me to like, to lock the fuck in.
I feel like, you know what's funny about that? I feel like I have undiagnosed ADHD. Like, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
And I am really glad that I grew up reading and like loving to read, because I think that if I tried to just start reading now, first of all, there's less time as adults to just sit down and read. But I'm glad that I already have that discipline and that practice. Because I don't know if I would be able to, like, if I picked it up now, would I be able to sit down for hours? And like, I can't even finish like shows sometimes, because I'll like watch a few episodes and be like, okay, I mean to finish it, but I don't. So I wonder if I would be able to be a good reader if I didn't grow up doing that.
No, I feel that shit is mad hard for me. Also, I still think it's almost like kind of unfortunate how I think school just like sucks at teaching people like what to read. Right.
Ooh, go more
Because
to that.
Yeah, this is something I actually think about a lot, because like I know like me and a few other friends, not many, but like we were all kids in high school that didn't read fucking squat, you know? Like, you get the book report, you're fucking reading Catcher in the Rye, Great Gatsby, Snore, who gives a fuck, right? Animal Farm, didn't read any of that shit, right? So like we'd have these book reports, you just go on Spark Notes, bullshit it. Even if we did read it, like we wouldn't give a single fuck. Like, if you told me the story about any of those, like Fahrenheit 451 was like kind of interesting, but it's like all that shit was boring. So it was just like, how do I pass this shit without reading this shit, right? Oh, that's the laundry machine. My sheets are done. It's got a nice little jingle. I don't think it picked it. It's over now. Sorry, that really distracted me. I was like, oh shit, that shit's been drying for a fucking minute now. It's been like an hour and a half. Anyways, so that shit is boring, and like the goal is just to instantly, just like to pass, right? Just to get the shit over with. Other than like in adulthood, me and a few friends kind of like explored some books by some like not really, I would say they are like mainstream, but like not in the school sense, you know, they're not school books. So we just like started reading the shit that we found interesting, and we're like, holy shit, like this book is kind of tight, right?
Yeah,
like this shit is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And then obviously, you know, the habit thing, you're like spot on about, because like, at least speaking for myself, like I don't have the habit. So even though I've found a lot of books, like I've already found like 20, 30, 40 books that I could probably buy and find interesting.
Yeah.
But the problem is like reading that shit, right?
Yeah.
Especially with like all the fucking distractions. But main point being is like I think school teaches motherfuckers to like hate books, because like I think about people like my dad, my brother, or just other friends where I'm like, hey man, like have you given reading a shot? Like I only did this shit kind of recently and it's kind of cool. And they're like, nah man, I don't fuck with books, I don't read books, right? And like the reaction is so like instant, visceral and instant.
Whoa.
You know? And I'm like, yeah, and even if it's not like aggressive, but still it's like, nah, I would never read a book, right? Just like,
I would never read a book, is crazy.
that's what I'm saying. They're saying like never, right? Like the word never, like there's a lot of weight to that word, and I think they're just kind of throwing it around. And it's like, and then it just gets you thinking like, well, the fuck, why? It's like, well, the last like 10 books they read were like shoved down their throat, you know, and they coughed up the pages or whatever.
Wow.
Trying to keep the analogy going, I already lost it, but you get what I'm trying to say, right?
So interesting.
So it's like, I just think like, because, you know, like when was the last time that in your school they were like, hey, what book do you want to read, right? Or like, what book do you want to do a report on, right? Or even if you don't know what types of books you like, it's like, obviously this is a lot to ask of teachers with like classes of however many students, but like, you know, I think it'd be fucking awesome. Well, you know, they get underpaid, so maybe they wouldn't be so keen on doing this, but I think it'd be great if a teacher was like, hey, you don't like reading, you haven't found your book, let's go to the library and like look at a few books that you might like. Oh, you want to read the one on fucking dinosaurs? Maybe that shit is like dope as fuck, right? Do your book report on like the dinosaur book with pictures and cool facts about dinosaurs, right?
Yeah.
It's like, nah, it's just like, oh yeah, read fucking, I don't know, Rainbow Fish. What is some kid's book? No, that's like a baby book. You know what I'm saying?
It's Flat Stanley.
Yeah, exactly. I've read fucking Flat Stanley, right? Read Captain Underpants. Okay, maybe not so much that one. I think that one's a little bit more fun. Yeah. But you know what I'm saying?
Like, I guess you're against the standardization of like, oh, here's summer reading. Like, you have to. But I feel like anytime you're like, oh, kids, you have to do this. You have to practice piano. You have to read XYZ book. Automatically, they're like, ew. Like, having to do it adds a layer of like.
Well, I think that's why, like.
Letting them choose.
The idea is kind of, well, like, not even about the whole thing of choice, because sure, maybe like right off the rip, it might be a little overwhelming, right? For like a kid to be like, I'll pick any fucking book in the library, right?
Yeah.
But I think the whole point, and I think this is actually like a philosophy I've told really close to me. I think it applies to most things. It's like the best way to get people interested in things is to make it fun.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because like, you know, if like, let's get a little abstract for a second, right? Like if you have two tennis coaches, right? And one of them is training their kid to be the toughest, strongest tennis player. You're resilient. You never break. Fuck your emotions. Don't cry. Get back on the court. Like bleed your fucking knees out and do whatever you need to do to get that ball and score a point, right? Or 15, I guess. Whatever. Fucking tennis.
Challengers.
Anyways, and then you have the other kid where it's like, okay, listen, we're going to work on getting better. And this is actually very tricky to navigate in my opinion. But like, we're going to strive for improvement, but also remember why we started tennis. We started tennis because it's fucking fun. Because at the end of the day, you love the volleys. You love the feeling of hitting the ball across the field and chasing it down once they return it across the court, right? And like I said, it's tricky to navigate because then if you take it too fun, it's like too casual. And you might be like, tennis is just that fun little weekend game.
Yeah.
And whatever. Then it goes into like sports psychology. So I'm no sports psychologist, but you know, I think there's like a perfect sweet spot to be like competitively invested and strive for like being better than you were and also keeping it fun. And so like you're talking about instruments, you know? It's like I think teaching kids at a young age how to play like songs that are fun would be great, because like so many people that like are playing Bach and Mozart and Beethoven and over and over and over again. Sure, the ones that stick around probably fucking love Bach and Mozart and Beethoven, but the kids that drop off, they're probably like, this shit fucking sucks. Then they like go to college, they like find the piano in the lobby or whatever, they start playing some like anime song, or start practicing some like anime song or fucking video game song, and they're like, holy shit, like I love this song, like I want to play it, and then they get reconnected with piano or whatever. You know, like these stories happen all the time. So it's like the disconnect wasn't the piano, it wasn't the tennis, it wasn't the book. I think it's the fun.
Yeah.
So I think school is just giving people, like everyone, just like a fucking uniform task, right? Everyone read the same shit, right? And obviously it's hard to give a letter grade if you're giving students the option of any book, because then the teacher's going to read 30 books every semester just to like grade the homework assignment or the summer project, right?
Yeah.
It just gets like kind of tricky to put like a value on that if you don't know the subject matter. So they're just like giving us this shit, and it's like not interesting to most of us, other than like usually the book kids, they probably fucked heavy with Great Gatsby, you know? That's probably why they kept reading. They're like, yo, that shit was tight. And then they read more and more and more and more. Other than the kids, I think like myself, like my friends, like my brother. It's like, we just thought that shit was lame as hell. And it's like not inherently our fault. I just think it's very unfortunate that most people immediately blanket like the whole activity. Like I said, never read a book ever again. Like too many people I know like that. And it's just like they wouldn't touch a book for fucking nothing. You know?
That sucks.
Yeah, and like I said, it's just like, you know, it's been left to us to discover the fun in books, and I'm really grateful that I have. And like, other not to get like even more abstract or whatever, but I just think like I think reading is just hella important. Like,
yeah, it is.
Omega, like people sleep on how much we use that shit every day,
Absolutely.
right? And just like reading books, just getting the cool story and the good vocabulary. Just got the sauce, you know?
And like having to imagine that in your head, I think that like I had asked a friend, like I've been talking to a friend about like, oh, like how come reading is seen as like really intellectual, and then it's similar to like watching a movie or show, like the storytelling and building it is very similar. It's like stories. And then she's like, I think just the act of like having to imagine and having to picture and having to like make your own inferences visually like activates another part of your brain, and like it like works your brain in a way that TV or movies can't.
Yeah, because they're kind of like candy, right? It's like the book is like the vegetable. It's the broccoli.
It's the broccoli.
And then yeah, but I that's a good. I didn't even think about how it's like, oh, it's like an intellectual thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't know, but I'm going to assume that there's like a high correlation between people reading and being well spoken. Because I'm even thinking like in my family, you know, it's like both of my parents are immigrants, but like my mom's English is like leagues better than my dad, right? So, and she reads a lot, you know, like she reads like fucking crazy. And like after she learned like enough English to read, she has almost only been reading books in English, actually.
Wow.
Yeah. Like she reads the occasional Croatian book. I actually bought one in Croatian recently for my self purpose, because I saw her like read English, and I'm like, what the, like she sounds like pretty native, I would say, for like a secondary English speaker, right?
Yeah.
But then like my dad on the other hand, like he's one of the never touch books guys, and he just fucking, he sounds like any Slavic guy that you could just imagine in your head, right? And it's, I think there's like some proof in that pudding, right? It's like the person that's reading every day has like more articulate like words and thoughts and like, you know, sentence structure versus like the guy that just fucking talk to whoever, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. That's, wow. Like that reminds me of how BTS are the leader, RM.
Yeah.
He learned English by watching Friends a lot.
Okay. Yeah.
Like it really, you absorb it. Like you absorb language. Like it's so crazy how when we're babies, like we're a sponge and we learn languages like that, and it's just like we'll never have that absorbance again. And then, but I think that like as we're talking about reading, that is a way of like we still have, it's not to that level, but it's like our bodies are so capable of learning. So
yeah.
Our brains are still so moldable and like wanting it works as much as we will allow to, and like work it and are active in our brain.
Yeah, no, I agree. And look, now that you're talking about language, that's a whole other fucking pivot right there. Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Should we get into that one?
Yeah, let's go.
Because, like, I'm not, like, any language expert. You know, I know, like, 1.5 languages, right? You know, English and mediocre Croatian at best, right? But it's, like, I know there's, like, this one website I found who's, like, started from a guy on YouTube where, like, the website, I think, is called Refold. And the guy on YouTube, I think it's, like, Matt versus Japan, Matt in Japan, something like that. And he's just, like, some guy who self-taught himself Japanese. And he made his own kind of, like, method to learning languages, which kind of goes against, in a way, not so much against, but, like, maybe adjacent is a better word, to, like, school teaching of language. Because it's very unnatural, right? They just give you a lot of vocabulary, they explain the grammar, and they just give you really inorganic, like, a very inorganic setting to learn something that people use every day very organically. And, like, I mean, this is just, like, my personal theory, but I think, like, the reason so many other people across the world are, like, bilingual, and at least, like, from my experience, you know, having, like, relatives in Croatia with, like, English, is because, like, the amount of Croatians watching English content, like Friends, is way higher than the amount of Americans that are like, oh, yeah, let me watch this Croatian TV drama, right?
Yeah.
So it's, like, it's, like, sure, you might need some, like, school studying and to, like, get a baseline. And even, like, Mr. Matt, he's like, listen, you just gotta get, like, the most, like, 1,000 to 2,000, like, basic words going. And then, like, you have to study, like, the grammar structure and shit like that, and, like, how to read it if it's written in a different, like, you know, typeface.
Yeah.
But the whole point is, like, well, yeah, like, kids learn language because not only they're, like, listen to that shit all the time, but, like, kind of like you said, they're fucking watching TV, they're playing video games, they're reading books, right? Like, they're just exposed to all this content. And kind of, like, the point of it is just, like, make it fun. Like, you kind of have to reach a point of studying to make it fun. But once you do, like, if you have enough of a foundation, it's just, like, if you know all the grammar, like, structures and how to conjugate all the verbs in this bucket and that bucket and this bucket, it's like once you learn a new verb, it's like you know how to conjugate it, you know how to apply it, you know what words to use it with, whatever. It's like, so now you're just watching fucking TV, just having a good time.
Yeah.
Other than, oh, I don't know this shit, let me, like, write it down, and then boom, just, like, keep it in the back of your head or whatever, right? So it's like crazy shit, you know? It's like people sleep on that shit, and they're like, they fucking, other than same shit, like, they study language in school, they're like, nah, this shit's too hard for me, I can't learn a second fucking language, right? And it's like, no, motherfucker, you just watch, like, American shows all day and don't give a fuck about anything else, right?
Yeah.
So it's like part of it is just like
to be immersed.
Yeah, exactly. Like, obviously everyone knows about, like, you know, the whole immersion of language. That's why they say, like, oh, go to another country. I don't think that works all the time for everybody. Just like,
what do you mean? Well, that works. What do you mean? What about it doesn't work?
Because I think it's also, like, let me put it this way, because I would say it's, like, based on, like, application and environment, which sounds ironic, because, like, oh, you're in another country, why would that matter? Like, for example, I don't want to shit talking, like, shit, I might be watching, I don't know. But no, I have, like, one family friend, right? Oh, shit, maybe, because I could name drop other people. Whatever. All right, it's Damien's younger brother. Okay, yeah. So he went to Croatia recently, and listen, I don't want to dunk on the kid because I haven't asked him, and he's not even a fucking kid. He's like a year younger than me. Anyways, I don't want to dunk on the guy because I haven't, like, talked to him in quite a while, and I don't know how his language learning experience is. Like, so basically, he went to Croatia just to kind of, like, because he knows a lot less than I do, and that's like saying something. I still think I got super botched Croatian, right? So he knows, like, even less. And then it's just, like, he went to kind of reconnect with his Croatian roots, you know, see his family more, this and that. But from what I've heard, he has, like, a lot of cousins that speak English, right? As do I. Like, when I go, I only speak Croatian to, like, kind of the elders, like my parents' cousins or, you know, my grandparents, because I'm, like, forced to. But if they know English, like, typically their English is a lot better than Americans, Croatians, as I said, for, like, you know, the whole media thing. So even though he's in Croatian, sure, I still don't think there's like that much room to learn, because if you sure, like maybe they like speak to each other in Croatian and they just kind of help him correct himself, and like sure maybe they are doing that, but like what I imagine, and I could be wrong, like a lot of this is based on assumption, so this is just more so to give a hypothetical. I think he's like, or somebody like him might go there and be like, okay, let me like talk to my cousins in English so we could like, get our points across and learn more about each other and connect more and like have a family bond. Then when I go out in public, I'm gonna practice my Croatian. When you go out in public, I don't think there's like any practice there, because you learn the same few things. If you go to the grocery,
I think there is.
but like I'm thinking like you go to the grocery store, right?
Yeah.
You know how to say like thank you, you know how to understand like money numbers, like oh your total is blank, right? You know how to say thank you, you're welcome. If you go to a restaurant, you order foods, right? I think like to really get like sunk into a language, you need to like talk about deeper things, right?
No, of course. But I think you're more likely to when you're around your relatives, and like when you're at home, in your homeland, like when you're. I think the immersion does set the environment to have. I think that if you're here, you're not gonna have deep conversations.
Wait, what? Like,
if you're,
repeat that just because I don't think I picked them. Sorry.
I feel like still being in that environment is still helpful for the immersion and for, like, oh, like they all speak Croatian here, and then you get your head used to the mindset of like, oh, like I'm in my Croatian era, like I'm gonna speak it. Like I think it's harder to have a conversation, like you're saying, oh, but it's only small talk. It's only like surface level Croatian. It's true, but it's not like it's you have a higher chance of having those deep conversations there, I think, than having it here. Do you think?
My take, I think location matters less than
People.
the people. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Just because, like, I've noticed, like, I've even seen from one of my, like, old high school buddies, he, like, self-taught Japanese, and he's, like, Chinese American.
Yeah.
And he said that he actually studied, like, so crazy that he reached a point where his Japanese is better than his Chinese.
Oh.
So, which is, like, crazy.
Yeah.
But like I just see also like his input, like he's been like from his personal account, he said he's been studying this shit for like years, right? So constant daily learning, and now that he knows like more than enough to like speak at a base level, he goes, I forget if it's like an app or website, but it's like you connect with people and it's like a language kind of like exchange app. So it's like he might meet up with like Japanese people living in New York, right? So it's like they'll speak for an hour in English, then second hour it's like, okay, like let's switch, right?
Yeah.
So I think like there's so much more of a routine, and even just like in the meetings themselves, right? Like it's like, oh yeah, we're only going to speak this language, right? For this meeting, for this hour, right? Because I think when the lines are more gray, if you do have family members that know English and Croatian, I think it's like really easy to like blur the line, and then you still become like so reliant on it. Like I know Source, just trust me, bro. Yeah, you gotta check it out.
Came to me in a dream.
Came to me in a dream, because there's like one thing I heard from some guy online. And it's not the best place to get your information, but I think they're just like from fucking language guys. They were saying that if you watch a TV show in another language, even if you could understand it, if you're reading like English, for this example, subtitles, like the learning aspect of it decreases like significantly, because now you're over relying on the English part than the actual listening. Whether if it was like written, the subtitles were written in the same language as the as the audio, because now it's like you're listening to it but you're also reading it, so like your mind has to do the fucking translating, right? It's not like it's like a cheat code, right? It's like sure you might be understanding it by listening to it, but you're also like reading the literal translation, right?
Yeah.
It's like you don't have to do any of that yourself internally, like internal monologue, right? It's just like it's happening.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that's also why it matters, so it's just like the intention, like some people, again, they might be like, oh yeah, I'm watching this TV show in German but with English subtitles so I can watch it easier. It's like, yeah, it's gonna be easier, but you're probably learning a lot less fucking German, right? So like I said, I don't mean to assume for Damien's younger brother, but I mean shit, maybe he might come back and I'll be like, holy fuck, this guy knows a lot of Croatian. Honestly, I'd be stoked if that happened. I'd be like, fuck, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think like some people don't set like hard enough boundaries for them to learn a language, and then like they just kind of.
It's a discipline, yeah.
Exactly, because I think for like, you know, people like coming here for work or whatever, or any other country for that matter, it's like going for work, especially if it's like service industry, you're kind of like forced to like learn at least like basic speaking and understanding levels. But if it's like a something for leisure, like a hobby, yeah, like once it doesn't become a necessity, I think the discipline part kind of like comes into play. So that is at least like some of my philosophy on learning language. I haven't really put any into practice, as you know, as you can see.
What language would you want to learn?
What do I want to learn? I mean, for starters, Croatian. That's why like I bought the book. It's hard because media is huge. That's why so many like weeaboos, Koreaboos. It's so easy, not easy, but easier. Just because of the resources available.
Yeah.
Like Croatian might be easier to learn in a vacuum because it uses Roman letters. It's easier to read for like an American speaking English. It's just hard for me because like there's no fucking TV shows.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm trying to find some heat out there, and I'm like, there is either no heat or they don't have subtitles.
Heatless. Croatia's heatless.
I gotta be honest, there's actually some heat I found that's like some old ass like 90s fucking shows. I was like, yo, this shit looks like a fucking 5. You know, they got the old ass cameras, or 80s shows, even older. It's just, none of them got closed captioning. So I guess they didn't fuck with that shit back then.
They said, you know or you don't. If you know, you know, bro.
But like, the audio's kind of crunchy. It's like fucking like a 50-year-old video. Like, so I would say, yeah, for starters, probably Croatian.
Yeah.
I would love to be able to learn that language.
Yeah.
Really connect with more of my family members, because it's pretty hard, It's pretty hard.
Croatian seems really, or like the culture seems very important to you.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Also just because, I don't know, it's like, it's cool getting to know your family more, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, I didn't really realize how much of like an invisible wall was put up kind of like being an American and growing up here, right? Because now it's like, sure, obviously, like I visited so often, and like anytime I see family members, it's always like, hey, what's good? Like, how's it in America and blah, blah. And like there's no animosity for like the family members, me to them to me, you, him, me, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's just like the problem is like speaking. I can't articulate myself. I can't tell them like, what's the haps? I can't.
Yeah.
So I gotta like keep it really baseline, and then it's like kind of frustrating. Yeah. Because like, I can't ask any of my like, family members a complex, maybe even more complex question. Like if they're younger, like, oh, what are your ambitions, right? Or if they're older, like, hey, do you have any regrets in life? You got advice for me, right? And it's like, oh, tell me some funny story about like my grandpa from like fucking 30 years. Like I can't really ask these questions, or even if I do, I might not be able to understand the whole story. And that's like kind of the frustrating part. So it's like the casual conversation, it works, and there's still like moments of bonding. I mean, shit, you know me, I'm just like a fucking schizoid nut who just yaps too much. It's like I'm just looking for more shit to talk about. But like all my time is stuck in the computational phase, because like this shit would happen all the time. I'll think about something to say. By the time I've like conjured up a sentence, already past that.
Yeah.
So I would just be silent for like 30 minutes, an hour. Oh, just because like, then they would ask me a question, like a yes or no question. I'll be like, yeah.
Then you want to connect.
Yeah, then I'll be thinking of like a way to, expand that idea. But then, like I said, by the time that it's like my turn to talk, the conversation's already shifted, right? Yeah. So it kind of gives me like this perception of like being super shy around my family, which like, sure, sometimes, but like generally I am open to speak. It's like a roadblock. It's rough. Yeah. So, yeah.
That makes sense.
Would you say you have something similar going on for yourself, or no?
Like right now, I think.
Like who can relate? Like Logic once said. You know that?
Who can relate? I know exactly what you're talking about. Wait, can I grab some cookies? I have cookies.
Yeah, go for it. Intermission.
I need a break. But
you know what? Give it 5. I need to fucking grab some water.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so James, is that a wrap?
It's a wrap.
That's a wrap. All right,
That's
Kamy,
fun.
shout yourself out. Where can they find you?
Hi, I'm at LeBron Kames, LeBron KAMEZ on Instagram, TikTok.
IG, TikTok,
IG,
all the
TikTok.
bangers, all the heat.
Do some music stuff. Do some silly vlog stuff.
Do you still perform like live?
Sometimes.
Okay, all right. Well, gotta see the live Kames performance.
Yeah.
Anyways, sweaty hands. So, thanks for coming on. This has
This
been
is so fun.
episode
We always have
1.
good talks.
Guess closing statements.
Mhm.
Well, shit, we could use some money. That money's always nice. If you want to sponsor the show, you could send an email to what's the haps we yap at gmail. WHATS THEHAPS WEYAPS at gmail. So, gotta get the product placement in there. You know, that shit ain't free. Could put some, some undisclosed cans and shit of certain products and make money, and then maybe I could quit being a waiter. That's the dream. Maybe someday. No rush. Anyways, I think that's a wrap. All right.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.
Yeah. Goodbye,
Thanks for
everyone.
having me.
Yeah, of course. Sweaty.
Sorry.
So slimy. All right. Anyways, goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.